Hi everyone. So thank you for your patience on these slides and in terms of your kindness and compassionate nursing skills in terms of watching your professor flail through illness at the front of the class. Yeah, been a bit of a waste of weekend for me, but I'm feeling much better, so yay. Thank you again. I wanted to launch just the beginning of this slide deck, the remainder of the adolescent and young adult slides, by just touching back on some of the test multiple choice exam strategy things that I had wanted to say but didn't really feel like I did justice to because I wasn't feeling so great and couldn't really interact with the screen the way I'd kind of hoped to. And so what I've done here is I have a mock little exam with a couple multiple choice questions on it, and I know I talked briefly about what kind of things you can do to strategize when you're actually writing a multiple choice exam. So after, of course, you've done all the usual things like reading the direction carefully and knowing how much time you have. So there's 100 for this final exam. There's going to be 100 questions. You're going to have 2 hours and 15 minutes to write the exam. And so it's like 135 minutes for 100 questions. It's lots of time. There's no penalizing for guessing. You can fill, if you don't know an answer, fill something in. You shouldn't leave any blanks on the page. You're going to want to, of course, preview the test when you first get it. Have a quick flip through. Make note of any questions that are sort of easiest for you. Read through quickly. Also, because some of the questions, you never know, might help inform you. So for example, if you're having trouble remembering the different Erikson stages and you're in the toddler section, then perhaps when you get through to preschool or school-age child, there might be another Erikson's question that is obvious and it tells you a little bit more information about whatever was stumping you in the toddler section. So always sort of have that in the back of your mind that you might actually learn something from the actual exam that helps you with other questions. So in terms of answering the actual questions, it's a bit of a critical thinking game because we want you to not only memorize facts about these different theorems and everything, but we want you to be able to actually use them in real life, so we need you to apply some critical thinking on the exam. So the hot tip I was giving was using your Scantron bubble sheet, the answer sheet, and covering up the answers to the questions down here with that sheet, and then just reading the actual question. So here's an example question. When discussing injury prevention with adolescents, it's important for the nurse to remember that adolescents, and then, so what kind of things do we remember about adolescents? We remember things like, oops, make my writing legible here. We remember things like they're striving for independence. So I might write plus independent. They are impulsive. Of course, these are broad, far-reaching statements and sort of on average for all adolescents, not necessarily particular adolescents, may be characteristic, may not be a characteristic for them. They need to learn things by experience, but they're starting to apply abstract. Whoops, I ran out of paper. Abstract ideas are coming into play, so they might take people's advice, but really, you know, if you're telling them about injury prevention and you're saying, well, you need to be careful on your bike or your motorbike or your car or whatever, because back in my day I did blah blah blah, you've lost them. Like, they've tuned you out. It's better to use a concrete example that they can see in day-to-day life, but then the abstraction comes in applying it to themselves. Yeah, so that's a pretty good place to start. So there's an excellent chance that the actual answers aren't going to say these exact words, but I need to just sort of look and see what kind of stuff is the closest. So one tip while you're unveiling these questions to yourself might be to apply a true or false statement, true or false, to the actual answer. Is that even correct? The other thing is to keep in mind exactly what the question's asking. So in reading these back to yourself, you might use the STEM and read each answer back to yourself. So when discussing injury prevention, I need to remember that adolescents are always ready to resist, to obey the rules related to automobile, bike, and water safety. Resist to obey. Man, that's awkward writing. So resist to obey the rules. So they don't want to follow the rules around bike, water, and car safety. Well, I don't like that answer. I'm just going to put a little wavy line or a question mark. I'm not sure about that answer. It seems a bit weird. I mean, they want their driver's license. Like they're going to take risks, but I think they might follow the rules. I don't know. That's kind of a weird one, so we'll just leave it. Go to the next one. When discussing, so again, reading it back to myself, when discussing injury prevention with adolescents, I want to remember, the nurse, me, wants to remember that adolescents believe no harm will come to them, as it's always the other guy gets hurt. Oh, that's actually, I do remember hearing something about that. That seems like it might be pretty true. I'll put a little check mark there. When discussing injury prevention with adolescents, I want to remember that adolescents can't conceptualize and to rely on concrete examples to understand your message. Well, they do need more concrete examples in that they don't want to hear history experiences, but I mean, they're not little kids. So I don't really feel good about that one. And only want to hear about your teenage injuries and what you learned from your experiences as well. No, we wish. So that's not true. So this is one of those scenarios where I kind of have a maybe. I have two that I feel pretty confident, although that one, there's bits and pieces that are accurate. But this kind of plays into the impulsivity, so I think I'd choose B. Lo and behold, guess what? I wrote this, so it's right. Okay, and so let's do another one here. I just lost my mouse. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, so hello. There we go. The other thing you can think about doing is, oops, not scrolling down, changing the color of your pen here, or having a different color, having a pen as well as a pencil. So underlining key information, 40-year-old, so we know we're talking about a young adult, okay? That's a Y and an A there for anybody who can't read my hieroglyphics here. Young adult, or the end of young adult. I guess really it's early middle age, but I want to believe otherwise because I'm in that group now. So a 40-year-old healthy woman has presented to a clinic for physical checkup. When the client asks the nurse practitioner to recommend the amount of time she should spend per week doing moderate intensity physical activity, so amount of time, moderate intensity physical activity, the nurse practitioner recommends which of the following. So again, here I jot down in the side things I remember about amount of activity. They've already given me the moderate intensity stuff, and they're not asking things like what, so I wouldn't like start jotting down walking, swimming, all those moderate intensity. I'm getting caught. That's not the right information. That's not what they're looking for here. Okay. But what they really, really want is the amount of time. So I'd probably circle that one and just kind of amount of time, moderate. So that's what the answer is going to be. So it might be the thing, oh, I can't remember. Oh my gosh, is it amount of time? Well, is it total amount of time per week, or is it amount per day? I'm not going to know what it is. I don't remember. I remember seeing this or hearing this, but I can't remember the actual number. So again, it's an opportunity to kind of just think logically and critically about the answers. There's an excellent chance that the people who write these exam questions, and having written exam questions, I do this too, especially on the number ones, I have a number that is in mind, and then I usually have a number that's the number minus, I don't know, 5 or something, a lower number, a number that's plus 5. I don't know why my pen is doing those little boxes. A number that's higher, a number that's lower, a number that's higher, and then a number that is like crazy, like that's the automatic one that I expect students to go, no, that one's wrong, and then have them have 3 to narrow down. I'm not saying all questions would be structured like that, because this is a really common trap for exam writers to get caught up into, but there's a really good chance that the crazy one and the lowest one, or the highest and the lowest, you can almost, you really have to stop and think about whether or not those are the ones that you want to consider, and really feel confident about those ones, because this is a really common way for people to write exams, especially when a number is involved. I don't know what those little boxes are. That's weird. Okay, so then, okay, so the amount of time, oh, I don't remember. So 1 hour per week, or 15 minutes a day for 4 days. So that makes it sound like it's 1 hour one time a week, or 15 minutes in 4 little increments. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, so logically I'm thinking, I don't know. Let's see if it's the lowest. 30 minutes or more a day for a weekly total of 3 to 4 hours. Well, that seems like it's falling a little bit more into what you just know about exercise from living in the world, in a Western world, but also might start ringing some bells for people. That one seems more likely than that minute amount of time. And the first one, 1 hour a day for a weekly total of 7 hours. Well, when we consider that 40-year-old adults tend to be working an 8-hour day, having responsibilities before and after work, likely, eating in there and in the middle of the day, and needing to get enough sleep through the day. This is the day, by the way. This is my little picture of what a day might look like. 1 hour a day for exercise is starting to look like quite a lot. 10 minutes a day for a total of 1 hour per week. Well, I was already starting to feel like that was kind of short. This one's even shorter, so that seems crazy. Like that's like not even as much as you got in elementary school for recess, right? Like you got more recess time than that. So I have one here that seems like too much. One here that I thought was too little. Till I got to the end here where it's like, whoa, what? That seems way too little. So I think the most likely answer is that one. And lo and behold, guess what? The answer is that one. The answer also on this one is that one. All right, this idea of invincibility. It didn't make it onto my short list of things that I remember about teenagers back here, but it is true about teenagers. They do believe that they're kind of invincible. And you know what? This actually carries, oops, I'm still in the highlighter. This actually carries over into young adulthood as a thing, that young adults still tend to figure they're invincible, especially or until their friends start coming down with diagnoses and injuries and things and living their life. So there's a quick 15